In today's video, I'm going to share with especially the new members of Weight Watchers my success story with Weight Watchers. Now this is still awkward for me to share with people, and I never want to come across as being egotistical or anything like that, but I do feel like it's important for new members of Weight Watchers to understand that this program works and can, if you are dedicated to it, it can work long term. Now, for those of you that watch me regularly, if you don't want to go through a video like I have probably made before, feel free to go elsewhere right now. But if you want to hear my story again, stay tuned. I'll first start off by saying that the name of my YouTube channel is NEMA Living Healthy. Now, I picked out the word Mima because it's my grandmother name, so feel free to call me Mima. That's what most people under the age of 20 do call me. They either call me that or they call me Aunt so-and-so, or sometimes I'm even called Aunt Mima. So you are more than welcome to refer to me as Mima. And for the last 6 years, I have made it a mission for me to be trying to live a healthy lifestyle, a much more healthy lifestyle than I've ever lived in my adult life. Let me start off by saying I've had a weight problem. I've struggled with my weight pretty much since I was a child. The first legitimate diet that I remember starting on was when I was 12 years old. I had quite a bit of success at 12, and I was able to keep my weight at sort of a normal range until I was in my 20s. And because of hormonal issues and not being as active as I once was, the weight began to creep on. I would say within the first 3 months of my marriage, I gained 15 pounds. Not necessarily happy that I have to tell you that, but I'm here to be honest with you. So during most of my adult life, I went on diet after diet after diet, and I would stay on them for 6 weeks to 3 months. I had some success on some diets, but it never failed that I would get discouraged or tired of depriving myself of certain foods, and I would always get off these, what I considered and still consider, fad diets, gain the weight back, plus an extra 5 to 10 pounds. That all being said, by 2013, I found myself morbidly obese. I was more than 75 pounds overweight. And so that means I was morbidly obese. I had some feet, ankle, and hip issues on both legs, and realized that if I didn't do something soon, I possibly was going to be in a wheelchair in the next few years. So that gave me incentive. That, and I have 2 grandchildren. In 2013, my oldest grandchild was 12, and she was living with my husband and myself every other week. So I had to have a little bit more activity than I had had in the past few years since my children had become grown, and I was not able to keep up with them anymore. I also had a 2-year-old grandson that it broke my heart because I could not get in the floor and play with him like I had the 12-year-old granddaughter. So that was a big why for me, is to be able to get down in the floor and play with my grandson and have a more physical lifestyle than I was able to have. Because for several years before I started Weight Watchers, I stayed on this couch most of the time and talked about how I needed to lose weight. Finally, after the situations that happened in 2013, I found it imperative that I needed to lose weight. So January of 2014 started my Weight Watchers story. Well, actually, in October, I began to pray and ask God to lead me to a weight loss program, to one that I could be successful in, not just short term like I had for most of my adult life, but something I could live with, something that I could get used to and enjoy. I expected God to lead me to a faith-based weight loss program. He didn't. He led me to Weight Watchers. By things coming up in my everyday life, I met some people that had been on Weight Watchers for years and still kept their weight to a normal size, and so I was encouraged by it. So in January of 2014, I joined Weight Watchers. At the time, Weight Watchers was the program that was implemented in Weight Watchers was the Points Plus program. It's very similar to what the green plan is now, except there were less 0-point foods. And so early on, I had to learn how to track. I really attribute 3 or 4 things to my success in Weight Watchers, and I believe that it's something that you have to do early on and something you have to do long term, or you won't be as successful. Because to begin with, you have to look at Weight Watchers as a diet program. I do not look at it as a diet program anymore, but I did when I first started it. My mind has changed the way that I look at food now, which is wonderful, because I used to look at food as my buddy, as my comforter, as somebody that never judged me for my size, as my best friend. I look at it now as if that was my best friend. The way that I was eating back then, that wasn't very much of a friendship. Anyway, I've had to change my mindset. That's one of the big things about Weight Watchers. I've had to lower my portion sizes. Even though I considered the way that I ate normal, it wasn't. I was eating way, way too much. So, I had to change the way that I viewed eating. I changed my mindset into weight loss mode, and it helped to have that why by wanting to get down in the floor and play with my grandson. I had to lower my portion sizes. I would say to begin with, I probably lowered it by half. That may sound drastic, but you know, it's what worked for me, so all I can do is share with you what worked for me. And the third thing that I attribute a lot of my success to was tracking every single thing that went into my mouth. And the way that you track is you have to use the Weight Watchers app. I love my Weight Watchers app. I use it every single day. And I will say this, I went a few months where I didn't, and guess what? I gained some of the weight back. I was distracted by different things, and so I gained some of the weight back. So it's something you have to make that commitment that you'll do this long term. All the women that were on Weight Watchers back in I admire them so much because they didn't have smartphones, and yet they still, several of them, had long-term success on Weight Watchers. It is quite a bit easier now to have the long-term success because of what I am looking in right now, my smartphone and the Weight Watcher app. January 2014, I weighed in my first weigh-in at 213 pounds. That's morbidly obese for somebody that is 5'3.5" like I am. I was 58 years old. I discovered over the next 9 months that I could eat certain foods and be able to lose quite a bit of weight. I didn't have to avoid all the foods. I just had to lower my portion sizes. that's what made the difference for me between Weight Watchers and all the other diet plans that I'd been on. I didn't really feel deprived. You see, in the other diets that I had been on during my adult life, low carb, low fat, low sugar, only eat this, only eat that, all of those eventually got old because I felt like I was being deprived. Now, I still have to fight that some, because there is a point when you want to raise your portion sizes again. But you have to fight it. You have to fight it because it's so much worth it. If you work the Weight Watcher plan, the plan will work. I forgot to add that in October of 2014, I had lost 75 pounds to my, well, it was actually 76 pounds to my first goal weight, which was 137 pounds. Since that time, I have lost an additional 15 pounds to where last Thursday when I weighed in at 122.4. Felt like that was pretty important that I left out, so I'm inserting it here. Now, in my subsequent videos that I'm going to be making in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to go into more specifics about how I made the Weight Watcher plan work for me. Each person is an individual, so I'm sure that you will find some things will work for you when other things won't. So I can only share my experience with Weight Watchers, and hopefully you will find things that will work for you from my experience. I am going to talk about the tools that I used, the mindset, and how I have to probably monthly make sure, step back, and make sure that I am still in the right kind of mindset to maintain my weight, which that's what I do now. I'll still have a few situations that'll come up like the holidays, birthdays, church gatherings that I won't eat the correct things and I'm possibly gonna gain weight because of it. But that's the great thing about Weight Watchers. You start over every single day. You have a new amount of points every day when you get up. And it's just, you don't, or I don't, ever feel totally defeated. I may for just a few hours at the end of the day when all my points are gone. But when I wake up the next morning, it's like I've charged my batteries overnight. I can look at my Weight Watcher app and it's back to the full amount. Now, since November, I will say this, since November, I've been on the purple plan. My weigh-in day is tomorrow on Thursday. I plan on changing to the blue plan, my WW Blue plan, tomorrow. I've had relatively good success on the purple plan, but I want to try all three plans. And so I feel like I've been on the purple plan for about 3 months now, and I'm going to try the blue plan for at least a couple of months, and then I'll more than likely move on to the green plan and see which one I will have the long-term success at. So I don't recommend switching these plans just willy-nilly. I feel like you need to give each plan at least a month. I know some people say 2 weeks, but I feel like it needs to be at least a month. And then you can sort of see if this is going to be the plan that works for you. I look forward to sharing more of my story, and I hope that something I've said today will click with you. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. Oh, also, I have an email address that's associated with this YouTube channel, and it's memamac7 @gmail.com. That's MEEMAMC and the number 7 gmail.com. I hope to hear from each and every one of you. Goodbye.